Hey guys, this patch actually wasn't as big as normal, but Korea have still got a few new picks in store for us to have some fun with. As always, if you found anything new as well yourself this patch, make sure to leave that below so we can all have a look. Just before we start, it's been about 2 months since I started testing out Zone from Nubria, so they've given me some RP to give to you lot as a thank you. There'll be 2 winners, $20 each, any server, as long as we can gift it over and stuff. Just leave a comment. You can like the video if you want to, but that part is up to you. The main thing that I've noticed with Zone is I've stopped getting headaches from staring at my screen all day, which is so good for me. Charge is the energy one, which I take sometimes before a stream to like give me a little boost, but there's more info down below. They reduced shipping to the US and Canada as well, and they accept PayPal now, so go check it out. The first one in this video is the Mordekaiser craze that is sweeping the entire Korean server. LCK has started. We saw it a bunch over there. They're playing it all the time, and now it is spreading. Now, of course, we are talking about Mordekaiser as a bot laner, so taking the AD carry role. It is an exceptionally good early game champion for bot lane. Pretty much ignores the enemy AD carry, sustains through everything that you can throw at him, and then he kills you. It seems like I'm exaggerating. That seems a bit extreme, right? But honestly, it is true. Like, they normally run double Targons for this anyway, so you have the double sustain there. Then he runs Guardian as his keystone to block more damage, bone plating, Chrysalis, revitalize, more healing and damage reduction, even Ninja Tabby on top of that. He's actually going to build health first as well with Rylai's and the slow. He becomes very hard to kill, but it's not difficult for him to kill you either. One of the really big things about Mordekaiser is that we just don't really know how he works. Like, I bet if you went against one right now, you wouldn't know exactly what was going on, and when he healed for a bunch, you wouldn't even know why. One part most people know is you do have the Ghost Dragon, which is basically a free Baron if you use it to tank it for the damage as well, or a tower when you use it properly. AD carries need to use their auto attacks to poke you down really before they can go in. That is how you would beat a Mord. The issue is they can't do that anymore because their base stats were nerfed, and your mitigation and your healing is too good basically. You just outlive their poke. The build is Rylai's, Leandry, Zhonya, stuff like that, so a mix of damage and defense together. We've talked about Resolve, but you actually add in a Nimbus Cloak as well from Sorcery, and it gives you some desperately needed mobility to chase people down when you ult them. Your strongest point in the game is definitely early game ready. You abuse the lead that you're going to get in the lane phase. You kill the enemy AD a few times, you dive them constantly because, as we said, you're pretty tanky, and you're going to have an aggressive support with you. This is the other part we haven't really talked about, but having something like an Alistar, a Blitzcrank, anything that can really set you up, even a Pyke for example, would be really good with Mord. It's no longer a cheese lane, honestly. Mordekaiser is just one of the best bot laners that you can actually play. If you watch my new patch video, you'll remember that I said Yorick was probably going to be pretty bad this patch because he was getting gutted with all the Sterix changes and stuff. That's why they even buffed him to try and not make him useless. Turns out he actually definitely did not need that buff. Now he's one of the best top laners, even at higher ranks. Maybe that was the secret actually. Stop building Banner of Command, stop building armor, and build more damage instead for yourself. The new Sterix is amazing for him. It's amazing for a lot of bruisers actually, but it still works with Trinity Force in a build to add to your burst and give you some defense. It's not increasing your sheen damage anymore, but it still increased your damage. The buff he got to his Q must have helped this as well. His Q can now be used more often, so he's going to be healing for more, getting more sheen procs, and more damage output. It's kind of weird though, like such a small change could have given him such a massive boost, from barely in the top 30 over in Korea for the top lane champions, and now he's going to be top 2. Yorick's early game power has always been really good though. I talk about this sometimes as like one of the most underrated champions. It seems to have been even better now than before actually. So after Trinity and Sterix, which is pretty much your core every game, you're looking at things like Visage, ZZ Rot, Deadman's just trying to survive really. You have the damage you need, you don't need any more. Conqueror is really good on him, and that obviously is part of why you have enough damage. A lot take Demolish as well in Resolve to nuke down towers even more. Yorick can be a monster champion, and the best part about this is that if it works at higher ranks like this, it 100% works at lower ones and even better. He is a low elo machine. Just jump on that for some free low. I'm actually happy the Kindred seems to be getting some attention. They seem to be on the rise again, especially at high ranks, but they did get some good buffs. It's 3 patches in a row actually. 8.10 they made it, so if an ally accidentally jacks the last hit on a monster, you're still going to get the stack. 8.11 they gave them the potential to get marks faster, and now in 8.12 they gave them more attack speed per level, more attack speed on the Q, and more damage on the E. There are a lot of different builds that you can go on her right now, especially in Korea. They go Warrior and Crit, they go Warrior Blade the Ring King for more dueling, they even go Blood Razor and Black Cleaver for some insane shred. If she gets ahead, she can easily demolish the game honestly, but it is a big if. Her damage is off the charts, but she needs items badly before she's going to be able to do it. You also got to remember with the mini rework to her kit and stuff, she scales so well, like infinitely basically. If a game goes late, she becomes almost unstoppable. So as I said, there are loads of different options to play around with for your items, but Warrior, Runins, and either Cleaver or Crit is a really good start. You can actually run a more burst heavy build, which is kind of more fun, like a Warrior into Storm Razor and then some Crit afterwards. Seems to be pretty nuts. Press attack is obviously awesome for as a keystone. Sudden impact makes a lot of sense, so runes are really standard. You can go sorcery secondary if you want to though. She takes a little bit of a while to get used to as a champion, but Kindred is definitely viable. Some games you're probably going to get rolled over if you're behind, but if you get ahead, you'll see just how good they can be. We talked about Mordekaiser for the bot lane. Now we're going to talk about an actual AD carry, and it's probably not one you're going to be expecting either. We're going to talk about Ashe. So against an Irelia bot lane or a Misfortune, Ashe is going to struggle a little bit, but Koreans have shifted their build to be way more early game focused and a bit more utility. Blade first into Runans. That gives you loads of healings on all 3 of the bolts for Runans, and also with her Q actually on all 3 of the bolts. She isn't great early, but she doesn't suck either. This is a really important part. She has good range. She can keep others at range with her volley, keep them away, and kite them with her slow. She actually does okay versus stuff like Mordekaiser because of that, because it's just never going to get in range, honestly, and the arrow is such a good setup to help her team carry, so you don't have to do it all yourself. When you do get a bit later into the game, the arrow can really be a game changer, right, with the engage, and you'd be surprised how good your damage can be as well. Like, a lot of people forget it. As we said though, Blade, Runans, then into crit, so like Infinity Edge. Essence Reaver is good to pick up a bit later into the game. Normally they don't always rush it. Sometimes they do, but not always. Still running Fleet Footwork most of the time, but you can actually swap that up to Lethal Tempo if you want to try something more aggressive. AD carries on this patch don't need to hard carry every single game. They are not the most important role on a team anymore. With some life steal and with her slow as well, she's going to be able to kite. She'll survive a lot of bruises that we have just with the healing anyway and running around, basically using her arrow to help her team carry, and that's the really important part. Malzahar is really the only mid laner that I could find that is new this patch over in Korea. Like, apart from all these supports going mid and stuff now, it does make some sense though, right? No direct changes to Malz at all, but with the meta being very damage heavy, you've got a point and click lockdown ultimate that can counter these assassins. If you put him against other mages, he actually struggles a little bit, like especially poke ones, but put him against the meta and he really shines. Zed, LeBlanc, Yasuo, even Talon. His passive shield is enough protection for him, so you can't really nuke him down that well, but you can push him in so he kind of like contains them a little bit, and he can ultimate to shut them down in fights and just nuke them down. A lot of mid laners right now we see are very strong early game, right, to get a lead, and then they kind of snowball with that. Malzahar is okay early, but he is just really good in his first few team fights of the game, whereas Kit can really shine through. Even if as well the enemy Talon roams or like the Zid jungle is fed, if you press R, there is nothing they can do except obviously buy a QSS and delay their next damage item by 1300 gold, which slows down the snowball. Aerie is more common as a keystone, but a lot actually go until spellbook now as well. They take teleport normally, but then they swap that to ghost just before a fight breaks out to kind of even out the team fight pressure. Luden's first item into more utility seems to be how you want to play right now. You get the mana regen, you also get more damage. I'm not sure if we're going to see a ton of him right now, honestly. We used to, but he kind of just fell out of the meta. But now when you think about it, like, he does have a place. He can do his job pretty well, and it's more of a reaction pick to what we see every game, like all these damage and assassin champions. I think actually this next one is very similar to that. Like, Poppy is another champion that keeps getting buffs as well, actually, starting in 8.9 with some major work. Then last patch we had her passive cooldown lowered later, her Q cooldown lowered by a second, plus the AD ratio increased on her Q. Most people in Korea run a more damage heavy version in their runes with Aerie. They actually try to endlessly poke with their passive and Q whenever they can. The thing is, they're using her right now as sort of a bruiser counter, really. There are a lot of matchups who actually want to dive around if you think about it. Riot has this new obsession really with giving top laners a lot of mobility, which Poppy can counter with her W. They can't use it. Fiora, Camille, Irelia, Renekton, Jax, really good examples of champions that Poppy can stop and make a lot weaker just because they can't jump around. Build-wise still tends to be going Sunfire into Iceborne, not full AD like Riot kind of wanted you to. There is a lot of AD damage everywhere though, so armor stacking makes a lot of sense. Even though Poppy is a tank, she still follows the same curve of winning most earlier into the game, most probably because she can shut down these guys in the lane phase. Having a tank ready, some engage, and a frontline is really good for solo queue at the moment if you can contain a carry pick in lane and not get put behind, which is exactly what Poppy does. So I always try to have like kind of a more fun one in these videos, and this is it, AP Nunu. I actually had this in one of my weird build videos from Korea, and now it's actually more of a thing. Like, people actually do this. The Runic Echoes was buffed to give it cooldown reduction and way more AP, so that's a really good start for us. Cheap Shot was buffed though to do more damage, so your attacks and your spells deal true damage to slow champions, which obviously you're going to be slowing everybody. Even Celerity now gives double the AP conversion, and you've got that Blood Boil boost, and if you think about it, that's going to work for the person you Blood Boil at the same time, not just you. Shurelya's can add to that a little bit more. Morello is more penetration, death cap as well. It sounds weird, but AP Nunu actually does a ton of damage. You won't really appreciate it until you see a Nunu run up to you with that, uses E and pretty much just half health you straight away. It's even like your W now, it gives you 40% boost to your AP, right up to 120 max, but that's pretty ridiculous for you and the person you boost. Comet is a keystone that we're going to take for this, but you could also run a more defensive side of things if you wanted to. So you could go Guardian, you could go Cinderhulk. Shurelya's is still normally there actually, but then it's into tank items afterwards. The burst is pretty nuts with whatever you want to do actually. They use this for the boost strat as well. We're giving the mid laner more AP and sharing the farm, but he doesn't have to do that to be good. It's a bit more of a fun thing to try really. You are still really squished, you can get burst down really easily, but you do a lot of damage and it's point and click as well. You have to really try to miss your snowball. Kled is going to be our final pick of today, and it's a lot to do with the new Sterix that was changed this patch. This can apply to a lot of different champions. Garen, Darius, like a ton of stuff. Now, to be fair to Kled, he is a solid solo queue pick anyway against most bruisers. He can often go toe-to-toe with them and then just kind of outroam them after that. But he's now got this better build, right? That makes him more effective mid-game as well. So he's not just about the early. He was always a good champion, but he used to have to get ahead a little bit and then roam with his ultimate before it was too late. Otherwise, he'd become basically a meat shield and not a very good one either. The new Sterix buffs all of his damage. His AD ratios are insanely high, like absolutely crazy. He can also now pick up 3 AD and health items, like they have both of them together in a row, which all synergize together. It gives him a really good boost, but when this meta is about early action, having his ultimate can be the difference maker when he appears first in fights. It isn't really just him, it's the synergy between the build as well. This can work on a lot of different champions, as we said, and we're seeing a lot of Black Cleavers and Sterix together now on this patch. That is going to wrap up our look into Korea though, to see what they're having some fun with and what new things are popping up in solo queue. Thank you for watching though. Let me know if you found anything new this patch yourself. Remember to check out Nubria, but for now, I'll leave you with the Robots.